We've got the Sandia Mountain. It's the big mountain right outside of Albuquerque, and that stretches south into the Manzanos. And
Okay.
Sandia Mountain, it's like 10,000 feet in elevation. It averages 22 inches of snow a year. And, a lot of people go there to recreate. There is a ski resort on the backside of the mountain. There's great trails. And, why not help facilitate other people getting outdoors? And that was really what it's all about.
Hi, I'm Reet Singh, and this is Adventure Travel with Trip Outside, a podcast where we interview adventurers, local guides, and outdoor industry experts to uncover the best travel spots and human-powered adventures from around the globe. Before we jump in, I have a quick favor to ask you that if you enjoy the show, please leave us a review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. It would truly mean a lot.
Thank you, Corey, for joining us, and welcome MST Adventures in New Mexico. We're so excited to have you guys on, not only on the podcast, but on Trip Outside, because we did not have a great reach in New Mexico before. And most of it is because we initially found all these places during our travels that we added to Trip Outside. And within the last year, we're actually doing more outreach in places we want to be, the best outdoor destinations. And selfishly, we are going to end up in New Mexico for this winter and most of it. So this is a great moment for me to get a checklist of all the outdoor amazing things to do, not just for this winter, but for summer, spring, whatever the best times of the year are. So thank you for taking your time to jump on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, first thing, you guys started 5 years ago. What's it like to take that idea of inspiration of wanting to get in the outdoor business? You want to take people snowshoeing. Like, where did this concept start from? Who is the mind behind it, and what did that first couple of years look like for you?
Yeah, so we started the business in 2016, and we started serving customers. It was like late 2016, and we started serving customers the January of 2017. And how it kind of came to be was, at that time I was guiding paddling trips, teaching whitewater classes, flatwater trips with another company. And it came to be the end of the season, and I was like, what do you guys do in the winter? Because I was a recent transplant to New Mexico. And they were like, we don't really do anything. And that kind of surprised me.
Sure. And where were you from? Where'd you move from?
From Ohio, from the greater Midwest. I had lived on Lake Erie for 11 years prior to moving. And so, we came out here, and I just thought, like, what a great place to continue working in the outdoors.
So then you decided snowshoeing was the first sport to enter into, because now you offer a ton of different adventures.
Yeah. So in that crazy off time, I started working for the local big box store, better known as REI. And I was like, boy, you guys don't rent gear? That's kind of crazy. So that's what spurred my idea. And so that's why I started with snowshoes. I just was like saving checks, and we bought 18 pairs of snowshoes. And we started doing day rentals. We've got the Sandia Mountain. It's the big mountain right outside of Albuquerque, and that stretches south into the Manzanos. And Sandia Mountain, it's like 10,000 feet in elevation. It averages 22 inches of snow a year. And, a lot of people go there to recreate. There is a ski resort on the backside of the mountain. There's great trails. And, why not help facilitate other people getting outdoors? And that was really what it's all about. And
that's the one that's right off, sorry to cut you off, right east of Albuquerque then?
Yep, that's south. Correct.
Okay.
No, that's correct. It's directly east of Albuquerque.
That, I'm looking at the maps, actually. That is so close. Like the city is just tucked in right below the mountains. That's super convenient.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a short drive. It's 45 minutes if you drive around to go up the backside of the mountain. There's a tram here that if you want to hike or ski, you can take to the top. And that's about 10 to 12 minutes, I think the trip is.
Okay.
So, like it's very accessible to people. And, we're just wanting to help facilitate getting people outdoors. A short, snippet of my history is, I've always been involved in the outdoors. I was a park ranger for quite some time, and
Different parks?
well, yeah, I worked for a metropolitan park district in Ohio, and I worked for
Okay.
a couple of, but only one district as a ranger, other areas as land stewards or seasonal help. And I just like the idea of getting people out, getting them educated, and just showing them, that there's more to do than play Nintendo. Because that's just how I was brought up. And so,
And the value of it,
yeah,
what you get out of being active. It's not just the workout. It's not just being in nature and clean air. It's all of those things combined and what it does to your physical and mental health.
right.
And how affordable it is too. Like you could go out there for a 5-hour hike and spend $0, right? But
Correct.
if you're sitting around bored, you're going to find a way to spend money, whether it's online or go shopping or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I love that because we have a shared mission in that, just getting people to, get outside and responsibly and don't go ruin, trails. There's so many things that we can get into the environmental impact, but doing it responsibly, but doing it to appreciate so we can preserve it and grow our outdoor areas.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We wouldn't have all the public land we do in the United States if it wasn't for, people ahead of us looking at it, wanting to preserve it, set it aside. And I think, we need to celebrate that. We need to use it. We need to use it responsibly. And, if you don't know how to use it, like that's where we come in. We offer a lot of interpretive tours. We offer educational components to help get you out safely, and we're not the only business that does this in the country, right? There's a lot of people around the country that do this. And I think it's great. We're like that first line of contact for folks a lot of times coming out.
Right. So we've got a winter coming up. I think there's been a movement to try to explore underrated places in general. To us, New Mexico as a state in general is that, but I feel like people are going to take more road trips, get outside and explore new things. If this was, regardless if it was a pandemic year or not, but what are like top 5 things that somebody could look forward to in a road trip or trip to New Mexico? What would you recommend if you only had 5 days? What would you go out there and explore, knowing everything you know now?
Yeah, definitely. If I had 5 days, New Mexico is very, very rich in culture. And so I would definitely hit Chaco, which is, it's like northwest of Albuquerque. And it is just, it's like, it's got some ancient Puebloan ruins up there. And it has a lot of great Southwest culture. So you have to hit Chaco. And other really awesome places in the northern part of the states would be Bandelier National Monument, which is outside of Santa Fe.
Okay.
It's a national monument that if you have the time, you need to spend like 2 days there, because some of the beauty comes within not being able to day hike. And
okay.
Because you can't get to the Rio Grande and see what it really is without it would be a really long day hike. I mean, if you're in great shape and you're a hard charger, you could do it.
Sure.
But that's what it would be, is this long mission driven event. And then
what's the closest town there?
The closest to Bandelier National Monument would be Los Alamos.
Okay.
And then, there's a very unique place, literally another 20 minutes down the road from there, and that is the Valle Caldera National Preserve. It's run by the National Park Service. And when you get back in there, it's very much, it will make you think that you're standing in the middle of Yellowstone. And just because it's grasslands, you're in this giant caldera. I was up there doing a 30-mile gravel ride this fall during leaf change. And it was just like rich and beautiful color. And it was, you have elk that are bugling that time of year in the fall, and the colors are changing. You've got the grasslands. It literally made me feel like I was in Yellowstone.
Get out. That's amazing.
No,
and this is
super cool.
This is how far west?
That is the Valle Caldera is just north of Albuquerque, about 45 minutes. So
Okay.
it's outside of Jemez Springs.
Okay. I'm going along on Google Maps trying to.
Yeah.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
Yes, sir.
MS Springs. Is there hot springs there?
There are some hot springs there. So,
nice. Okay.
So, yep, you're right on the Valle Caldera.
Okay.
And there's some very popular hot springs that in the wintertime, it's a 5-mile snowshoe or cross-country ski in. And those are San Antonio hot springs. They range about 92 to 96 degrees. So they're not super hot.
Sure.
But when I've gone in there in the wintertime, like it's very comfortable to go in and, wear your swimsuit and just hang out for a while and relax.
That sounds amazing. And the value of like hiking in and finding it, and especially in the winter, if you're snowshoeing in.
Yeah.
And sitting in the hot springs, that is done on our list. I'm going to come by. We're going to grab some snowshoes from you. And we're going to head up there.
Sure thing. Yeah, absolutely. I'm a fan of Dawn Patrol. I like to beat the masses. I like to, get in there, get the workout done. And then as people start showing up, that's when I like to, pack up my gear and head back out. And that's a wonderful place to do that.
Awesome. Dawn Patrol.
Yeah, for sure. So go ahead.
What about Santa Fe and Taos? Like you probably get most, I would say, winter travel to New Mexico. Most people are going to Taos skiing. So imagine like you got 5 days and you only want to ski for, 2 or 3 days, or you have people in a group that don't ski. Yeah. What are some things around Taos or that area that you go explore?
So where your mouse cursor is, you can see Taos Ski Valley if you move it towards the 1 o'clock position. And then you see the ring of road that goes around it. And that's called the Enchanted Circle. Okay. Along the Enchanted Circle is a lot of really wonderful things to do. You can ski in Taos, but you can also ski in Angel Fire, Red River, and Cuesta. Now, if I'm a downhill skier and, I want to go hit the slopes at Taos Ski Valley and my wife wants to cross country ski, one of the places that I suggest is over near Cuesta, and that's called the Enchanted Forest. And they have groomed cross-country ski trails. Okay. And the gal who runs that place is just, she's a very, very wonderful lady and has a really awesome thing. You can ski, you can snowshoe, you can rent a yurt and go ahead and stay there. It's just the experience is very family oriented. And I really like that.
And from Cuesta to Taos is probably drivable. So you could stay in Cuesta in the yurt and still hit the Taos Ski
Valley. Yeah. Yeah, you definitely can. Being that Taos Ski Valley is in the Sangre de Cristos there, it's like a 45-minute drive up the valley.
Because you got to go up 230 there and one. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, there's only one way in. Now, if you're there in the summertime, there's really magnificent hiking along the Wheeler Peak Wilderness area. There's great backpacking. I mean, you can have an experience. So like the experience you can have is super high quality. Most people only go a short distance. So, they do that 5 miles and back kind of deal. One of the trips my wife and I did this summer when we had a weekend was we backpacked to Williams Lake. we backpacked the paddleboard in, inflated it, paddleboarded around Williams Lake. We're, the only people to do that. And then we hiked to the top of Wheeler Peak. And on that hike, we saw everything from grouse to bighorn sheep, to deer. The nature experience is so nice. And that's a wonderful thing to do.
And that's interesting because, all the animals that you called off, you've talked about elk and bighorn sheep. These are things that I just never really thought about before, because I just assume, just like my ignorance of New Mexico, it's like Arizona or Texas or deserty. But when you look even a few minutes closer and talking to you, learning about all the 10,000 foot peaks and mountains, and of course all the amazing wildlife that comes along with it is there. That's amazing. That's Julie is huge into not just exploring the place, but seeing all the wildlife. So
well then I've got it for you, right? So once you hit Albuquerque and you're going south, if you want to see animals, you have to go through the Gila National Forest and Gila Wilderness area. And it is a humongous area that you can see all kinds of elk. I mean, like the elk there they are super thick. If you're there in the fall, September, October, you're going to hear and see elk. They're all over the place. That's when their rut starts. It's a wonderful place.
How do you spell Gila? It's Gile. Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's in Silver City, New Mexico.
Yeah. Well, it stretches to Silver City. So, absolutely. And if you want to see some places that are, small towns, like 13 people, your drive in there is awesome. The backpacking is awesome. You're looking at places like Winston, Chloride, Silver City's a big place there. And it's the drive is beautiful. I was recently talking to a gal who writes for a couple of magazines, and she really likes motorcycling. And I was explaining the drive from Silver City over to Elephant Butte on a motorcycle would be just phenomenal, because it's a slow winding road through the national forest, and the eco change is it's phenomenal, and
how's the camping? Is there BLM? And
it's all national forest. So there's some national forest campgrounds. When you look at Silver City and you go north, you'll see Route 15. Route 15 will take you north to the Gila cliff dwellings, and there's some camping located very near there. There's also some additional hot springs called the Jordan Hot Springs that are a popular place to hike to. And in the spring of the year, that's where a lot of folks will they'll raft the Gila River when it's running. Now, this is February, March time frame, and it's just this small river that only really runs by snow melt. It's slated for National Scenic Wild River designation. We're really hoping that goes through. So that's just another really great bonus to it. And,
wow, man, there is so much. So we've got snowshoeing covered a little bit. Obviously, we got skiing, cross-country skiing spots. So summer or spring and fall. What are if you've got summer trip, we've got road trips kind of talked about here. If you're coming, what's the best time to visit the area in general? Obviously, if it's hot, you could probably escape to the mountains and it's nice.
Yes.
But if you wanted consistently, good temperature, and you're planning a trip, 6 months in advance, what's the time of year to come visit? Is it around the balloon festival, or is that too crowded?
Well, the balloon fiesta can be pretty busy if you're down on Balloon Fiesta Field, but there's a multitude of ways to experience Balloon Fiesta in Albuquerque. I personally really enjoy the end of September. So that last week of September through, December, I think our weather is wonderful. It's a
Okay.
great time. The temperature is good. We do see a lot of wind during that time, not like every day, but there are days when the wind speed picks up because storms are blowing through.
Sure.
But the overall temperature is nice. You get color change. So you see the changes from the golds, the yellows, and the greens, that change. It's really nice. Another wonderful place to visit if you're here anytime from like October to the first part of April is this National Wildlife Refuge that's right on I-25. It's Svelta. And then there is a couple of others that are along the way. And
Okay.
they have traditionally what's called the Festival of Cranes. We're in the Rio Grande Flyway. And so we see a lot of the migrating waterfowl come through the Rio Grande Valley in the fall. And
Okay.
we have seen this year so far, we have recorded sandhill cranes that have left the northeastern edge of Russia and are now overwintering in New Mexico.
Wow. That's
It's
amazing.
amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. And sandhill cranes, they stand like 4.5, 5 feet tall. I'm going to give you rough estimates here. They have like a 6-foot wingspan, and they have this noise that is so prehistoric. It's amazing.
How long is
and
that
they're
journey?
it's a
Annual?
long ways, thousands of miles. I can try to pull that up. I just recently
No, how often do they do it? Is this every year that you see that
yeah, they
migration
do it
then?
in the fall and they do it in the spring. Yep.
Yeah. That was a silly question, of course. They
No,
migrate
that's
every
okay.
year. It's not a couple year journey. Well, that's amazing. Sandhill cranes. They're the I'm trying to visualize what they look like. Wow, they're beautiful.
Yeah, they're a tall bird. They've got long
Massive.
legs, like
It's like a
great
tiny
Dane heron does.
ostrich.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah, in a way. It's they're just super unique, and they come in huge flocks. That you can. For me, when we do our fall color tours and we're paddleboarding down the river, like it's not uncommon for me to be mid-sentence, hear them in the sky, just kind of like lose all train of thought, and then just start staring at the sky until I can find the flock.
Wow.
Because you'll hear them before you see them, and oftentimes they're really, really high. In the spring, you often see them as they rise out of the agricultural fields and they circle their way up. And it's just the wildlife here is amazing. And I think Julie, is on the right track. You can bike, you can do other action sports, but taking a minute to see the wildlife really makes an area, in my opinion. And I just get really excited about it.
She's inspired me too, because it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be mountain biking or seeing wildlife. It could be if you just take a minute to pause and reflect and like just be even silent for a little bit, the amount of little things you'll notice, and you're still getting your adventure.
Right.
And I've started doing this more on mountain biking trips, where I'll just take a minute, pause, take a break at a scenic overlook, and just take the area in for a bit before just kind of bombing down or keep going. And I feel like that's the way to really explore, is to take a pause.
Right.
Or just, have that eye open or ears open, listening for some of those other things, possibly, instead of, playing music down the river, which is fine. But the value of seeing something that you're not going to see anywhere else is going to stay with you for a while. And that's, it's rare and it's unique to that area. So that is huge. I want to take this paddleboard trip with the balloons in the background floating away. So when should I come take this trip? If I was looking at your website, and this is just a gorgeous scenery. So you've got balloons flying off in the background and you're paddling down this beautiful river. Where is this, and what time of year should we plan around that?
Yeah, so 2021 Balloon Fiesta is scheduled for October 2nd through October the 10th. And so that's the time frame you need to be in New Mexico for this. Now, we see balloons every day of the year, but it's during those 9 days that we see them like this. And
A ton
that's
of them.
because of
Got it.
it. And that's because of where they launch, and which is Balloon Fiesta Park. Following the Rio Grande as we paddle down, like it lines us up, like in this photo that you're sharing here. It lines us up really, really well with seeing them come up from Balloon Fiesta Field.
Okay.
So
Amazing. So if we're talking about paddleboarding, so for those that have never done it, I think there's only a few people left that are in the outdoor recreation world already that haven't done it because it's so fun. But if you haven't tried it, how hard is it? Can a first timer come out there and take a paddleboard trip, or is this something that you already need to be familiar with before you come out and take a trip with MST?
yeah, that's a great question, Reet. You don't need any experience to come out with us. You know, I've had folks as young as 7 on their own paddleboard and paddling proficiently. And I've had folks as old as 73 on the paddleboard, never experienced the river on a paddleboard before, and paddling proficiently by the end of the trip.
Incredible.
We pride ourselves in taking the time that's necessary to make you feel comfortable, providing you with expert American Canoe Association certified instruction, as well as sharing personal experiences and a variety of tips and tricks to make you feel comfortable. Now, that being said, not everybody feels comfortable standing right away, and that's totally okay. You can stand up on a paddleboard, you can kneel on it, you can sit crisscross applesauce, as the kids call it.
Yeah.
You know, if you have mobility impairment, we have the ability to, you know, even fix like a cooler to the paddleboard so you can have an item to sit on. And
Awesome.
My goal is just to get you out and help you experience things. You know,
Yeah.
there are folks that, you know, have come to me and said, hey, you know, I have this medical condition, things aren't looking great, but I really want to do this. And, you know, I'm happy to go and help them as much as possible. And if that means I hook a tether to their board and I assist them paddling down the river, that's what I'm going to do. You know, that's just how strongly I feel about getting folks out.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that there's the barriers don't have to stop you. There's ways around. You just have to ask and want to try. And obviously you can't do that with every single sport. But paddleboarding, the views that it provides you and the experience is truly unique.
That's correct.
So go out there and try it, folks. And jumping back into skiing and snowshoeing, one of the things that we started doing was snowshoeing, and we actually bought some snowshoes. So for those that don't know what snowshoeing is, do you mind? You know, I call it hiking in the snow.
Yeah.
But there's more to that. What are some of the different types of snowshoes? Is there like an all-terrain snowshoe that, you know, somebody could come rent, and then it doesn't matter where they go, they could have a good experience? How hard is it? What are some of the things to look out for? Is there avalanche danger or any of those things?
Yeah. So I'll touch on the danger side real fast. We'll get the scary thing knocked out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
In many places that are mountainous, you have to be concerned about avalanche danger and snow loading on slopes. In the greater Albuquerque area, we don't necessarily have to worry about it because we don't have the volume of snow to warrant those kinds of conditions. And on Sandia Mountain, where we do our guided tours, it's full of trees, and so we don't have the long runways for slides to happen. Now, going north to the Taos area, that you have to pay attention to that. Being
Okay.
north, you know, up around Santa Fe, you definitely have to worry about that in places.
Okay.
But that shouldn't be a barrier to entry because there's plenty of places that have mild terrain changes that you can snowshoe.
And
And
the best thing to do
so,
is probably check in with the outfitter or ask
yeah,
someone that actually knows, check the conditions before you maybe head out.
Absolutely. And that's something that I encourage a lot of people to do is just call me. I love the talk. I love to share what I know with you, so you have the best experience for you. And if that's just, you know, saying, hey, you know, La Luz Trail is really icy right now, I suggest you taking micro spikes in addition to snowshoes. Like, you know, I want you to have the best trip possible. So To get back to your question, what are snowshoes? Most people know snowshoes as the wooden frame with the webbing on the bottom, that's like old timey. It's got like sinew or leather that goes underneath your foot. And there's a binding that holds your boot kind of from the mountaineer days.
Yeah.
Snowshoes have evolved quite a bit since then. There's several different styles and varieties. What you see now is usually some form of metal frame with a type of vinyl trampoline that your foot would sit on, and a binding system to attach your boot or your shoe to it, and with some type of traction device on the bottom. We use snowshoes from a company called MSR, which is Mountain Safety Research, and they are all plastic decks. They have lateral traction devices. We use the MSR Evos, and that's the particular model. So that'd be the red ones there on the left.
Sure. Okay.
And, they have traction devices for lateral movement. They have a crampon that's attached to the foot binding that help you climb up.
That's built in. Cool.
Yeah. And the Evo Ascents, which we also carry, they have what's called a climbing bar. And that comes up from the back of the deck, and that raises your heel. So if you are on a prolonged incline, your foot can rest on it, and it helps you with like how much strain is on your calf. So if you were using those climbing bars on flat ground, it'd feel like you're on a pair of high heels. But once you hit a little bit of elevation, it feels really comfortable because your foot is now level. Okay. These decks are like almost indestructible, and it's what a variety of outfitters carry to rent, just because of the simplicity as well as the indestructible nature of the product.
Got it. And what's outfit? Like if I'm showing up and I want to go snowshoeing, what should I wear? Outside of just the shoes, probably hiking boots are probably recommended. We recommend things to think about.
Yeah, we recommend a waterproof hiking shoe or boots. That's fine. Mm-hmm. If you're just doing short hikes, you can get by with tennis shoes. But we recommend a waterproof shoe if possible.
Sure.
A nice wool sock or something that's not cotton for your feet, because you do tend to get some snow in the tops of your shoes. If you have access to gaiters, which is like a piece of material that goes around the top of your shoes and seals it off and essentially makes your shoes taller, that's really good to wear. I strongly recommend against wearing blue jeans because the cotton fabric will wick moisture as you're moving. Your body heat will melt the snow as it touches your pants and rests there. So you can just get colder really fast. So, a lot of folks will wear ski pants. You can wear rain pants over top of clothes. If you don't have all the tech gear, it doesn't mean you can't go. Right. And that's the biggest thing that I want folks to know. Like, there's days when I have my kids, which are really little, and I know they're going to be outside for like 20 minutes. I'm going to go in my blue jeans. I'm not going to take 30 minutes and put on all my high speed gear. I'm just going to go and have fun and come back in. And then if I change my clothes, so be it. So you can wear rain pants over top, if it's what you have. Affordability is the name of the game.
That is such an important point. I feel like in every sport, we get this question all the time is, hey, what kind of hiking boots do you use? Like, well, it depends on what you're doing. Like, don't let a lack of hiking boots keep you from hiking.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Get out there and see where you're going, see what you missed. Did your feet get wet? Well, next time, maybe that's more important to you than traction, or depending on where you are, maybe there's slippery rock, or are you carrying a big pack? But, just get started, go out there and then adjust. But don't let analysis paralysis keep you from getting outside. I love that message from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's so many options, of things that a person could use with great success. And, there's a older fella that I pass on occasion when I'm hiking here, and he's a poncho guy. He loves wearing a poncho if it's rainy or misty. Whereas you don't see the poncho being advertised in outdoor stores, because they're trying to sell that 2-piece Gore-Tex fabric waterproof jacket and pant combination or bibs. But sometimes keeping it simple is all that you need to have a good experience and for you to learn what is it that you like or dislike about gear. And
Right.
that's a great message for anybody to take to heart. You just got to get out and do it, and you'll learn from there.
And start small. If you're not sure, you don't have to take on that big 40-mile hike to get into hiking.
Right. Absolutely.
Start early, get out there, get back and say, okay, that felt good. And then go up from there. And,
Absolutely.
I'm really just speaking to myself sometimes when I'm trying to get into new sports or thinking about doing an adventure. I'm seeking a big adventure in my head sometimes. But really, the small incremental adventures are just as fun. They're easier to get into, and the more often you do it, I feel like overthinking can lead to underachieving and just being outside more. So
absolutely.
Like
There's this wonderful example of this in a book by Bill Bryson called A Walk in the Woods, and in which he wants to hike the Appalachian Trail. He buys all the cool gear and all the camp cooking stuff, and he gets like 2 miles down the trail and quickly realizes he doesn't need like this, that, and the other thing. And he is having a moment. And as he describes it in the book, he's like chucking pots and pans down the hill. I'm not advocating to litter, but what I'm saying is like in that moment, he realized how oversold on gear he was and what he actually needed. And the KISS method is often best, which is keep it simple.
Well, that's amazing. To your point about littering, we'll make it a little quick transition. I feel like there's a huge push for the outdoor recreation market now, and that's an amazing thing. But along with that comes a lot of responsibility and making sure that we're recreating responsibly. What are some of your personal things that you try to educate on, or what are some of the things that you see as concerns out there when you're recreating that you'd like to share with people, that we make sure that we recreate responsibly?
Right.
And local environmental impact too, specific to New Mexico area.
Yeah. So I would say my number one pet peeve that I see that I'd like more people to be aware of is restroom litter. And I don't mean walking into the restroom and seeing a square of toilet paper on the floor. What I'm saying is people who have found themselves in the woods and have to relieve themselves. We like to educate folks on leaving no trace. You can Google leave no trace. You can get a basic education from them. There's seminars you can go to on how to leave no trace efficiently in the woods. But the biggest thing that I would like to say is no matter where you're going, if you don't have kids, I want to say this because as my kids are of that learning to potty age, like there is a lot of extra things I take with me so that they're successful. And I think parents know this, but sometimes often need to be reminded. We need to take 2 Ziploc bags with us when we're in the woods. And one of those Ziploc bags has got some toilet paper in it. And the other Ziploc bag is for used and dirty toilet paper. There are wag bags you can purchase, just like the bag you would take for your dog. And they could be bags from your local grocery store. And you need to pick up and carry your waste back home with you. In the desert Southwest, we don't get enough rain to efficiently break it down. And so that it like would quote unquote disappear like other places in the world. And if you're not carrying a shovel with you to dig like a cat pit or a little hole for you to use and put your waste in, it's going to be there on the surface for a long, long time. And, we often see that topped, with a little snowy roof from people's toilet paper because they just haven't prepared enough. And so, recently my niece had a really awesome outdoor experience where she spent, a 9 days in the wilderness. And I said, here's what I think you should take. And here's a little garden shovel. Here's, 2 Ziplocs. Here's some hand sanitizer. And, you can use the shovel to dig a cat pit. You can use the shovel to put the waste into the Ziploc, and then dispose of it when you get home, things like that. The rafting community, has always been following this quite well.
Right.
Because so many rivers in the
so
West.
Close to the river.
Yeah. And we've been packing groovers with us for years. And a groover is a porta potty that we take with us, and we take to the dump station, and we, dispose of all human waste there. That's the biggest thing that I'd like people to take away. In the times of COVID, we have seen an increase in outdoor recreation that is unlike any other time that I can think of.
Right.
And one of the earlier concerns was for, toilet paper and being able to stock and safely sanitize pit toilets, porta potties and things like that. And so a lot of forest managers, they just closed them up because they didn't know what to do. We're lucky that we've seen them reopen, but the environmental impacts from that short period of time are great. And if more folks pack their trash in and pack their trash out, you'll have a better appreciation when you go to a pristine piece of wilderness and see it clean. But on top of
selfishly, I think it's the misconception of packing your waste out seems gross, but what's truly gross is if you're hiking and you're stepping in somebody else's or your future, your own. And that toilet paper snow cap analogy is so funny. We see it all the time, but think about it that maybe somebody else will have to go clean that up after you. There's, it's just there. You wouldn't want to do that for anybody else. Please just think about it. And those things happen as an emergency. Nobody wants to actually take a bathroom break in the woods if you don't have to. But when you have to, just know that, that the little bit of early preparation could really save you a lot down the road. That's a really great
absolutely point. And the last thing that I would ask is that if we all chip in and just pick up one piece of trash when we're outside, that will make a huge difference.
Absolutely,
and, man. I was at a trailhead, the mountain bike the other day, and I pulled in and there was quite a bit of stuff. And, I have a pickup truck. I had some space for it. And so I just picked it up and tossed it in the truck. And when I left, I felt a little bit better about that spot. We often do river cleanups. Many outdoor organizations do trail cleanups. But I think if we all chip in and just take one can, one piece of litter, one cigarette butt, it'll make a big difference 5 years down the road.
And for yourselves, for your own mental health, because nobody, you want to be part of the solution or you want to be part of the problem, or let the problem overwhelm you that it's so big. And it's, we can get there. And I was born and raised in India, and I can just start to see so much of the litter that you see in third world countries. Sometimes you imagine in our most wildest, beautiful places, that it's, it can be overwhelming. So something we do every single time is wherever we're camped, we'll always have a camp cleanup. But even on the hike, I'm now starting to incorporate, make sure I always have a litter bag with me that is reusable. And I just pick it up, and I'm not going out of the way, but a couple of times bending down and picking something up on your hike, you're out to get a workout anyway. It's really not that gross. If you're picking up some paper, you don't even need gloves most of the times. I understand it's COVID. I'm not COVID times. I'm not promoting not using gloves, but if you don't have them, you can use something else to pick it up, put it away, and then wash your hands later. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And that simple act is, your actions are so powerful, unspoken, right? My kids watching you pick up a piece of trash is going to inspire a question in them, which is, Daddy, what is that guy doing? And that offers me an educational opportunity for my kids. And then they quickly are looking for things like that because they want to do that, because we've emphasized that that's valuable to us, that it means something, that it's a way for us to give back. So that's just one of the things, to kind of round the wagon back up to what you'd asked, that's just one of the things that, I think is important for all of the Southwest, if not anywhere else in the country.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Corey. We've got we've got a 5-day trip recommendations. You know where to go ski, snowshoe, cross-country ski, take a paddle trip, take a drive, go to hot springs. I can't believe we packed in so much adventure in just a short conversation. We have not even scratched the surface, which is just goes to show how much there is to do in the New Mexico area and just so close to Albuquerque even. And this is just mind blowing. And personally, I'm super excited to come take these trips and experience it and come meet you, do an adventure with you. You're just such a knowledgeable outfitter and so connected with wildlife and the environment, which is really incredible to see, because you're not just doing this because of the finances that come along with taking people on adventures. You want them to experience the value of outdoors, preserving them, so you can do this for your kids and they could enjoy all the things that you're enjoying, which is where we are about, go out there and enjoy it. And when that petition comes up to preserving that area, sign it, because you'll understand what that means.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really want to thank you for your time. I think we'll have another episode where we go deeper into each one of these activities, possibly. And I would love to have you back on the show.
Hey there, adventure seekers. Thank you for listening to another episode of Adventure Travel with Trip Outside. If you enjoyed the conversation, please share it with your friends, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to stay up to date on where we travel to next. If you felt inspired to travel, go to tripoutside.com. It's the fastest way to book outdoor adventures all in one place.